Mother, tell your children not to walk my way.
Hello all, and welcome to another video by me, Truthslayer. As the title says, this is a stuff video, though this will be a little different. There's only two things I really want to talk about, so I'm not going to do the normal thing, because both of them are going to take a while. Well, one of them is going to take an extremely long time to talk about. But let's start with, I'm a little late on this. I've been watching lots of DVDs, which is why I'm a little late on this. As if you will go and you will check out my other video I put up tonight, you will see that. Hopefully most of you will see it before, before you see this or after you see this. That's the only thing I hate about the new YouTube thing is, if you put up multiple videos in one day, it's real easy for people to miss stuff and, Anyways, to get started here, let's start with the fact of the NWA tournament, since I've continually talked about this thing. For those of you that did not know, at the last Ring of Honor show, Bryan Danielson had a serious eye injury. His retina, I believe, became detached from his skull or something of that nature, and not good stuff. He did have laser surgery later that week. However, he's going to be out 4 to 6 months. Now, he had not gone to the NWA tournament yet, so he had to be nixed from the NWA tournament, and the NWA then brought in Adam Pearce, who Bryan Danielson beat to get into the finals. So that it was Adam Pearce versus Albright for the title. And for those of you that don't know, I'll spoil it for you. Adam Pearce won. Now this seems weird to me, and this will sound weird when I say this. However, I do think it was the right decision to put Pearce in that role, because he is the guy that lost to Bryan Danielson. In the context of a tournament, it makes sense. There's not much about this tournament I've agreed with, but that is one thing I'll agree with, and here's a guy I didn't really think should be in this tournament anyways. As far as winning, I have no problem with it, because I figure that when Danielson is healthy, he will wind up taking on Adam Pearce, and they'll probably have some sort of feud, and it'll probably be a good thing. And it will be interesting to see if Adam Pearce is allowed to use the belt in Ring of Honor. That will also be somewhat interesting. I will say this, for all the people that originally jumped on me about kind of bashing on the NWA tournament, I'm sure none of them will see this. We had basically 2 shots at the main event, and both main events wound up being Ring of Honor matches. For all the people that said I wanted too much Ring of Honor-ness, well, that's what you got anyways. So, anyways, I do plan on getting the tournament, however, because I do want to, since I've pretty much trashed it, I feel like I should, watch it and, maybe trash it some more, maybe say, hey, this wasn't so bad after all. And for those of you that don't know, the NWA Tag Team Tournament is going to come out on DVD pretty soon, I think later this month, so that will be interesting to see as well. Okay, now to the big story that everyone's been messaging me and emailing me to talk about. Folks, please don't do that. It really does kind of irk me when people just sort of like, you've got to talk about this, you've got to talk about this. If it's something important, I will eventually talk about it. But I am not going to just come on here and do a knee-jerk reaction and talk about stuff just as it breaks, because we don't know what happened or what the real news source is. It takes a couple of days. I didn't do it with the Benoit story, and I'm not going to do it with the steroid stuff either. But let's get started here. It was released after an investigation that's been going on for a while on an online pharmacy that a bunch of the WWE guys had been recently, by their records, clients. So this is a big black eye to the WWE, who'd said, their thing, their drug policy had worked, this, that, and the other. I will say this in defense of the WWE. From what I've seen, and I haven't seen a lot because not a lot have been released, but most of the guys were doing GHC. The thing with GHC is you can't test for it unless you do a blood test, and there's no way that a company can administer a blood test to its employees. There's just no, you just can't do that legally. That would be setting a standard that probably a lot of places just don't want to go towards. So keep that in mind when you're talking about the drug policy. However, it is a black eye to WWE. It did piss off Congress, this, that, and the other. But the WWE did the right thing and pretty much suspended pretty much every guy on there that we know of. We're not going to know of everyone that was suspended probably for a while yet. Probably, I'd say maybe next week we'll probably know more. However, one guy who was named, Batista, has come out pretty vividly and said that he was not a client and that he's going to fight it. And this is one of the reasons why I didn't talk about it, was because he was on one report, but he wasn't on the other report, the more detailed report. Some of the dates don't make sense. I'm sure a lot of this is going to be worked out, so a lot of people need to calm down a little bit about this. However, the WWE did do the right thing. They did suspend these guys. Some of these guys, Kennedy, Orton, Edge. Edge would probably, we won't notice him being suspended because he's injured already. And numerous other guys who have been suspended, which is good and is a good and wonderful thing and is something that probably needed to be done. However, the WWE did say that one of the guys who was on the list won't be suspended because he's already served a suspension for this already because he came forward beforehand. I would imagine that's probably Orton or Kennedy. It's going to be one of those two guys is what I would imagine. However, we don't know yet, and we will find out at said point. Then the WWE turned around and released a Crime Time, which I don't get whatsoever. However, the report is that they basically went a little overboard with a finish to a match at a house show, and WWE didn't like it, so they let them go. If I'm TNA, I'm hiring these guys, and I'm putting them with Killings and Pac-Man, because I think that's the right thing to do, and I think it would give Pac-Man and Killings a more of a street edge to it, particularly if you just went completely the other way and not a comedy act and just brought them in as thugs. I think it would actually work and work out well. The other guys that were released, Nova, who was released because of the steroid stuff. I'm a big fan of Nova. Nova, so this was kind of surprising to me. Eugene was released as well. That is surprising to me as well. However, I do think that eventually he'll probably find a job somewhere, either in Ring of Honor or TNA. He is a talented guy, for those of you that have never actually seen what he can do in the ring. So that's the news. My thing is as far as the releases go, this is the right thing. I've said for a while now, I thought WWE had too many guys under contract and they needed to get rid of them. They're doing that. They're kind of being forced to do it, but hey, I'm all for it. I think it's a good thing. I think it's going to make the WWE better. If TNA picks up the right guys, I think it will make them better as well. However, TNA does need to be kind of careful because they don't want a black eye as far as them picking up the steroid guys the same way that they picked up on Kurt Angle as well. Kurt Angle's name came up on this as well, just so everybody knows. This is this is not a good thing for the WWE. Everyone has pretty much said that. But like I said, I do think they did the right thing. I think they did the hard thing, which is they basically came down and said, we're suspending these guys. There's a lot more to this that I could add, but I won't get into my thoughts of backstage stuff and certain guys and whatnot. But I do think WWE did the right thing. I do think that they are doing the right thing in a lot of regards. We also found out that the reason why Matt Hardy was made an example of had to do with numerous things as well. Apparently he tested positive for heroin, which is not a good thing. I would imagine he probably actually was doing morphine, but he could have been doing heroin too. If he was, well then, he deserved whatever fine he got. He got a pretty hefty fine by the looks of things. However, that's about all I've got to say on all this stuff. As I said, it's still developing. I don't really want to talk about things that we don't know yet. I didn't like doing that with Benoit's story. However, I will say this about Chris Benoit. It's, I said afterward that night that here was a guy who should be remembered for changing wrestling. Well, now he's changed wrestling in two ways. His acts have basically changed wrestling in that it might clean it up. It's unfortunately that it took what he did, to clean it up. However, if there's one positive thing that came out of it, that would be it. That it will probably clean up the industry to some degree. I just hope that we don't get a knee-jerk reaction from Congress and Congress passes some stupid law which will end up ultimately killing or hurting pro wrestling in a very bad way, which I have a bad feeling they're going to do. But I'll talk about that another time later. But anyways, I'm out. A lot of people had asked about this, so I thought I'd come on here and talk about it. Have a good one. Bye.